Hey everybody, it's GauntletX, and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going to be playing another premiere draft of Murders at Karlov Manor. Without further ado, let's slam dunk our mythic rare Planeswalker. We've got Kaya Spirit's Justice here. You do want to be running a deck that has some good expendable creatures, that way you can use Kaya's -2 the turn that you cast her, but other than that, there's really not much deck building requirements for her to be an excellent Planeswalker, with a +1 to create a Spirit, to give you some chump blockers to protect her, a -2 to remove whatever you need, and a +2 to set up your draws later in the game. Just a really flexible, very powerful card, and there's nothing super strong in the pack really competing, so we'll start with Kaya here. For pack 1, pick number 2, we'd have to do some splashing around one way or the other, but Lazov, Weaver of Faces, is another really nice, really cheap rare. 2 mana 2/3, it investigates and exiles a card from a grave every time it attacks. Even if it had no other text, that's a lot of card draw, that's a lot of value. You might be able to make Lazov become copies of some big creatures out of the grave, so some kind of blue-black-white deck could be a solid place to be. Could also take a Killer Among Us as one of the strongest cards in the pack, and green is the best color at fixing in general, so that would be an easier 3-color deck to be in, green, white, black instead of blue, white, black. We could also try to be the full 5-color with Niv Mizzet. We could just take Dog Walker, which we can play even if we're not playing red, thanks to the hybrid mana. That gives us tokens to go with the Kaya. It's a lot of really, really reasonable options here, but I think I'll go with Lazov. Play with all these spicy rares, and we get to keep rolling that way, because pick 3, there's a full-on board wipe with Deadly Cover-Up. That can completely flip a game in your favor. If your opponent has an aggressive start and they've tried to dump their whole hand on the board, this can flip it completely around, so really like Deadly Cover-Up here. Makeshift Binding is also an excellent removal spell, so that's quite a high pick for us, as we are already having an eye on white for sure. But both of our first cards are in black. This is now 3 rares in a row, all of which are black rares. I think this is a solid start, although we are passing up some fixing with that Escape Tunnel. Pick number 4, we've got Museum Night Watch, which is 2 creatures off 1 card because you trade it off and it replaces itself with another 2/2, so that is pretty solid. Case of the Shattered Pact is some weaker mana fixing if you don't have a way to solve the case, and it's not great. We've got Deduce for good card draw, which can dig for our bombs, as well as just get us ahead in card advantage later in the game. Yeah, pretty big fan of Deduce, Night Watch, or Case as the 3 very reasonable options here. I'm going to go full kind of control here and grab a Deduce, set up some card draw, and get ahead in card advantage. Pack 1, pick 5, what a great pickup for us. There's an Undercity Sewers, which is going to be a perfect dual land for this deck, helping fix 2 of our main 3 colors, and letting us surveil while we do it. That is an excellent addition to this deck. If it weren't in the pack, the Scene of the Crime is fine. It's the weakest of the 5-color kind of non-basic lands because you have to have a creature on board to get it to work, and it's an artifact, which leaves it weak to different kinds of removal. So that would potentially be the second best card, with the third best being Unauthorized Exit. Has just some great cheap interaction. It's a pick 6, Person of Interest. Somewhat of a sign for red aggro, but there is no way we end up in red aggro here. We could take the Nervous Gardener for really solid fixing out of green, or just the Gravestone Strider, which can be fixing even if we just stick to pure blue, white, black. I think I'll take the Strider. Night Watch also reasonable, but I think we take fixing over that. Pick number 7, plenty of Night Watches here. A million copies. I like Out Cold a lot in tempo decks, ones that can have a good amount of creatures on board that can then stun your opponent's board before they declare attacks, and then you get like 2 extra swings with your own creatures. So it's definitely at its best when you are frequently cracking back, rather than when you're particularly controlling, like this kind of deck. So I think I'll take Night Watch over Out Cold, but they're both the best cards in the pack for us. Pick number 8, Extract the Confession, is excellent cheap removal, although we did have one in our opening pack as far as I remember. So if that manages to wheel, we could take a Deduce and have 2 Deduces, 1 Extract. But honestly, they're both so good, so premium, I'm happy to still take Extract here. And again, we're not going to be a super creature heavy deck, and the fact this is an artifact makes this pretty weak, so I'm just going to pass up on Scene of the Crime. It's really my least favorite fixing in this set, really. Pick 9, we did not wheel the Extracted Confession, so I'm really happy we have at least one copy here. Take a Bubble Smuggler as a random finisher, or Criminologist as a random finisher. Got some clue producers. Criminologist could be good, but Smuggler being able to get cast as a 3-mana 2/2 and get some early blocks is definitely nice. Alright, let's see what we managed to get out of pack number 2. Well, on-color Mythic seems decent. Etrata Deadly Fugitive. 3 mana for a 1/4 Death Touch. Face down creatures you control have 2 a blue and a black. Turn it face up. If you can't, exile it and cast it without paying its mana cost. So if you've cloaked a non-creature card, you can cast it for 4. And then whenever an assassin you control deals combat damage to opponent, cloak the top card of that player's library. Nice. Okay, so she's going to keep hitting your opponent and cloaking their own deck against them, and then you can cast them for 4 mana, or you can just flip them up for their mana cost. Yeah, she seems very powerful and worth taking over Novice Inspector, even though there's a slight chance that she wheels if absolutely nobody's in blue-black, but I feel like some kind of green deck with a bunch of fixing is going to take her, and we won't get her back, so we'll take her over the Novice Inspector there, which is the second best pick, Novice Inspector being the best common in the format, just a great value play that manages to play to the board nice and early and get some blockers set up. Here I'll take a Drag the Canal. This is a very solid card. Worst case scenario is that it's a 2-mana 2/2 at instant speed, which isn't great, but when that's the worst the card can do, we're perfectly fine with that. When the best the card can do is really good, which is 2 mana for a 2/2, gain 2 life, surveil 2, and get a clue. So it's a 2-for-1 that also surveils a bit, gains some life, so I think Drag the Canal is pretty easily the pick. This deck could also use Onlooker, Reasonable Doubt, Fairy Snoop as decent additions. Pick number 3 now. We've got Slice from the Shadows for some more removal. We've got a Coveted Falcon as some pretty filler potential late game card draw. Give your opponent a bunch of your lands and slowly start stealing them back to draw cards. It's cool. We could take Thundering Falls in case we open like the blue-red board wipe or get past it or something to try to splash that in, but I think I just take Slice here. And honestly, we're really just blue-black splashing at Kaya right now. Like, we're doing really decent mana-wise to not just be a full 3-color deck or anything. We stick to blue-black, so I think we're in a pretty good position mana-wise, especially with all these Gravestone Striders. Don't really think I need a third. I guess I will take an Out Cold this time. Again, weaker for more controlling decks like ours than more aggressive ones, but still a decent card. And I guess we have a pretty aggressive curve of creatures, actually. Just a lot of 2- and 3-mana creatures is all we've got. Yeah, Out Cold might actually get some tempo wins where we outrace our opponent. Pick 5. Maybe it was worth grabbing that blue-red duel, because now Detective Satchel is honestly pretty much just as impressive as a Kaya, so potentially splashing the other way around, splashing red instead could be a thing. We do have Double Strider. If we end up with Double Strider and a couple Thoroughfares, we might be able to have, 4 or 5 red sources even without that duel. I think it's still worth the speculation because of how powerful Detective Satchel is. Take it over the Slice from Shadows. Pick 6, Crime Stopper Sprite, I guess. We could also go for the Rot Farm Mortipede, because it can potentially get lifelink swings if we cast, well, if we exile a Gravestone Strider from our grave, or if we cast something with Collect Evidence like Extract a Confession. And the lifelink swings are a pretty big deal. I still feel like Crime Stopper Sprite's just so much more consistently decent. Pick 7. I'm not going to play Dusk Mantle because we're splashing around, so we can't really afford colorless lands here. I think I'm just going to take another Gravestone Strider. We'll just be all Gravestone Striders to splash in Satchel and Kaya. Another Museum Night Watch or Toxin Analysis here. Again, white's just going to be a splash, so we're not flipping this up that often, but it's still a 3-mana 2/2. I think I'd still rather take Toxin Analysis, though. Just get one of our Gravestone Striders to trade up, and then get a Clue token to go up a card as well. Another Out Cold, Crime Stopper Sprite. These are both fine. Burden's not great. Assailant's not great. I think I'll take another Out Cold. Pick 10. We did get the Reasonable Doubt back, or the Fairy Snoop. I'll take the Reasonable Doubt. I think we have enough Clue tokens to easily hold up a 2-mana counterspell. On good occasion. Now a Sanitation Automaton is fine filler for pretty much any deck. Take a Macabre Reconstruction, don't think we're playing it. And Jaded Analyst we might. Alright, so pack 3. Pick number 1, what do we have here? We've got an Escape Tunnel. Actually kind of a high pick for us. We've got Soul Enervation for solid removal. Officious Interrogation kind of sucks. Yeah. Another Deduce, but we could maybe wheel that. There's a Scene of the Crime, but I prefer Escape Tunnel. I think with the Kaya and the Satchel, I'm just going to take the Escape Tunnel here. Pick 2, now a Public Thoroughfare, although there's a Makeshift Binding. We are already splashing white, and that is an excellent removal spell. So I'm going to take Makeshift Binding over Thoroughfare. Pack 3, pick 3, Unscrupulous Agent is pretty fine. It's also quite good with Kaya. Gorehound would be pretty fine here. Basically all our creatures are power 2 or less. It's a lot of surveilling to set up our draws. Actually kind of like that. Over the Agent here. Weirdly. Yeah, I'm going to take Gorehound. Pick 4, Push is fine removal for a more controlling deck, and we can cast Pull off of the double black as a potential finisher. We've done some damage throughout the game. Push and Pull looks pretty solid here. Now we've got Not on My Watch for another great defensive removal spell. Well, solid defensive removal spell, actually. Off the splash, definitely weaker. I still think it's the best card in this pack. Just not a super great pack. Pack 3, pick 6. Alright, that's a free Raucous Theater there. For another red source into the deck for the Detective Satchel. Very happy to see that. Do kind of wish I took the blue-red land. I don't remember what we took over it. But it would have been nice. Pick 7. I don't think we're splashing enough white to have No More Lies consistently enough. This is probably just another Jaded Analyst here. Hit the board and trade off early. Pick 8 is nothing. Just gonna rare draft. Looks like we don't have a playset of Wrench yet. Pick 9, I will happily play another Deduce. Pick 10, we got the Thoroughfare to come all the way back around, which makes me really happy with my choice out of this pack, passing up on the Thoroughfare there, just to get it back later. And same with this pick 11 Agent, because we're really happy to have Gorehound plus Agent, and Thoroughfare plus whatever I took over it. So we have 48 cards here. We got to cut 8 out of this deck. Repeat Offenders, pretty weak mana sink. Got kind of a lot of 2-mana stuff. We could cut some of the more filler stuff like Automatons and Analysts being the weakest of all these 2-drops for this deck, just because the Gravestone Strider mana fixing is actually pretty good with these white spells and the red spell here. I don't think we cut Gorehound. Basically every creature in our deck triggers it for the Surveil. Stalker is really expensive to flip up. Smugglers are really expensive to flip up. Night Watch is on a splash color, so those are all potential cuts there. We don't need a particularly high creature count here when we are running a board wipe here. Some 1/1 flyers here. Planeswalker here. That can be a Spirit Engine as well. Drag the Canal is another creature. Yeah, I'm not going to cut all of these, but we could cut most of them for sure. For the non-creature spells, the most filler ones, Not on My Watch is a little hard to cast for how good it is. Where like Makeshift Binding and Kaya are both hard to cast. They're off the splash, but they're both a good chunk better than the narrowness of just exile specifically an attacking creature. The makeshift binding is exile any creature, and the Kaya is way more flexible. It's exile any creature, and also, here's a bunch of different abilities you could use instead. So I think Not on My Watch is the weakest card we're trying to splash in here. The push, of course, is mono black, so even though it looks white, it's not really a splash for us. Black is one of the two core colors. We're blue-black at the core of this deck. So yeah, for mana considerations, the Not on My Watch is a potential cut. Probably not going to be aggressive enough to be super insanely excited about out colds, so we could cut one of those, maybe even two. I actually kind of like Toxin Analysis in here, and it could be wrong, but it's because we have like a lot of, you know, we've got 3 1/3s and a 1/1 here and a 1/1 there, so having one of those trade way up and give us a clue does feel kind of decent, but that is also maybe a cut generally. I think the rest of our non-creature spells all look pretty dang good, though. I don't think we could cut anything else, so let's drop an out cold. Let's drop the Not on My Watch. And how many creatures did we set aside here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we could just cut 8 of these. Cut the white splash creature. Cut the repeat offender. We've got 6 creatures at 2 mana or less still. I don't think I need the double Jaded Analyst. The flexibility of the Smuggler's kind of nice, right? If our opponent's really aggressive and we just need a 2-mana 2/1 to trade into their 2-mana 2/2 they played on the play, we can slam it down, trade it off. But then also we could play it as a 3-mana 2/2 ward, and also late in the game we could play it as a 6/5. I think I like the Smuggler better than these other two, so we run the 2 Smugglers, cut those 2, and call it a deck. That seems alright to me. The Toxin Analysis gets a little awkward down to 10 creatures, but again, that 10 creatures is more like 13, because Detective Satchel makes 1/1 flyers, Kaya makes 1/1 flyers, Drag the Canal makes a 2/2, and the Analysis is good with the 1/1 flyers as well. That could block literally anything and then kill it with Toxin Analysis. Again, this could be the biggest incorrect decision in the deck building, is that we just shouldn't be running Analysis here, but got a lot of low power, high toughness cards, and I think that could be kind of sweet, so I'm still going to try it out. So last but not least, we just need to work on our mana base a little bit here. Turn around with 1 red card, 2 white cards, and a bunch of blue and black. 11-11, an even split on blue and black. That should make the mana base pretty simple, so we want just as many blue and black sources. Maybe a tiny bit more black, because the double black board wipe's very important. And the double black pull. There's no double blue cards in this deck. Okay, maybe 1 more black source than blue sources, but just about the same blue and black. And for red sources and white sources, just about the same as well. 2 cards versus 1 card there. So currently, we have 5, 6, 7, 8 ways to get blue, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 ways to get black. That seems exactly like what I wanted it to be. Almost even on blue and black, but a tiny lean towards black to hit double black more consistently. That seems fine. For white, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and for red, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Yeah, with an escape tunnel, it's a little bit hard to cut a mountain here, which is awkward, because if this theater was the black-white duel instead of the black-red duel, I would be like, our mana base is just perfect, because we want a tiny bit more white than red, and then we could just go 1 plains and 1 mountain, have a black-white duel here. But it's not a black-white duel. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 red sources, 1, 2, 3, 4 white sources while running 2 plains. So I don't get to cut a plains for a different land like I would if this was a black-white duel. Yeah. I mean, we've got triple Strider and still only 2 cards that actually need the white mana, so even though it's going to mean we have more red than white, which is kind of weird, I think it's still potentially just correct to cut a plains, because it's still going to be a plains, an escape tunnel, and a thoroughfare for 3 lands that can give us our white sources for our 2 white cards, and 3 gravestone striders that can give us our white source for our 2 white cards. So still feels like it's probably correct to cut that for just one of our core colors here, and I'll just choose to add another black source to the deck. Yeah. Slightly awkward mana base, but can't get too much better in a non-green deck, so I don't hate it. I think we're in a pretty solid, pretty interesting deck, and we'll call it a deck here. Alright, here's a look at our final deck list for today. We're on a blue-black kind of controlling deck, splashing in some balmy cards. We've got some on-color bombs with Atrata, Deadly Fugitive, trying to cloak our opponent's entire deck and use it against them. Lazov giving us a bunch of clue value. And Drag the Canal is not really a bomb, but it's a solid value play on color. And then off of a bunch of dual lands and some Gravestone Striders, we've managed to put a Kaya into this deck as well for a Planeswalker that can take over the game, and a Detective Satchel that can take over the game with a bunch of card draw and a bunch of Thopters. So really high power level deck. We've got a bunch of cards that are good at individually taking over the game. So the rest of the deck here is just trying to survive and grind it out to get to these kind of cards. We've got a bunch of cheap creatures to impact the game early, maybe trade off, stuff like that. Crime Stopper Sprites, Bubble Smugglers, Unscrupulous Agent, and Gorehound. We've got some good card draw with a couple copies of Deduce, and some great cheap interaction. Removal spells like Push, Extract the Confession, and Makeshift Binding, as well as a counterspell with Reasonable Doubt, and a full-on board wipe with Deadly Cover-Up. So really solid looking deck today. We'll see how it all plays out for us as we head into the gameplay. Here we are for game one on the draw. This hand is really good if we can hit the mana we need. And the mana we need could be just any lands if our Strider manages to stick around. So I'm going to try to surveil towards lands and try to keep this Gravestone Strider around. That is a backup Gravestone Strider, but we're really trying to get to this 4 mana really desperately, and potentially 6 for Pull and Bubble Smuggler. So I don't think I can afford to keep that, even though it is nice to have the backup Strider. Really got to hit our land drops. Well, I guess we still get the backup Strider. That was a weird shuffle from Arena. The triple Strider in a row, I guess. Alright, still looking for lands here. Opponent's on a tremendously aggressive start with the turn 2 Neighborhood Guardian, one of the best turn 2 plays in the set. Cheats a lot of damage in. Island is a fantastic draw. We were really just looking for mana here. Push is sorcery speed, so it might be worth it to just shoot this Neighborhood Guardian and stall things out a bit. I think I kind of need to do that, because we don't know for sure if we can top deck a land immediately and just start rolling with Kaya here. And the less wide their board is, the less likely Consultant is to jam in for a million. There's Eidetic Memory to make the Consultant a 2/4, which is quite nice. But our Strider still blocks. Alright, still haven't found the 4th land. So let's Gorehound for the Surveil. Try to Surveil into the land. Could hold up a Reasonable Doubt here. If I do play another Strider, I don't get to Surveil. Or if I do play a Strider, I don't get to hold up the Reasonable Doubt. I guess whichever way you want to say it. I feel like with a Kaya coming up, it's better to just Surveil here. If they resolve something particularly scary, we just sack a Gorehound or a Strider and exile it immediately. Alright, Projector Inspector, that's kind of scary. Oh, that is actually really scary with the Eidetic Memory there. It's going to get a counter every turn they draw and discard. This is a big deal. Sky is not even going to be great here, because I can only kill one of these two, and it's like if I kill Inspector to stop the Eidetic Memory, I still have this big Consultant to deal with. Whenever one of our creatures you control and or creatures in your graveyard are put into exile, you can choose a creature card from among them and make a token a copy with flying. Okay, so it doesn't do anything immediately. I think we still exile the Projector Inspector here and then chump block. Chum Block Consultant, and I'm not going to attack at all. I'm just going to make sure that they can't removal spell and then kill Kaya. They would need specifically land into Out Cold to kill Kaya, or 2 removal spells. Alright, cool. Scrupulous Agent. It's pretty good with a Kaya on the board. I think we're just doing everything in our power to defend Kaya, so the options are Out Cold or Agent and Smuggler together. Kaya is certainly making a spirit.
I'm not afraid of phantoms. They're afraid of...
I think I'm just going for the wide board here. Would we exile from our opponent? Not on my watch. Yeah, smart choice from our opponent. We're probably not attacking for a long time. We're really just trying to utilize this Kaya to extend the game long enough to draw into another one of our rares. When we have like 4 or 5 huge rare win conditions, we can try to use them to chain into each other. There's a face down card. There's a deadly cover-up. Well, that is the win condition for if they break through and kill the Kaya. But we can out cold next turn and still keep Kaya around a bit here. Actually do get to attack since we've got the out cold. Yeah, this feels like a very good position, because if they can't break through and kill the Kaya, then we can just get the game completely locked with just her alone. And if they can, then we just deadly cover up and deal with their whole board and try to grind it out from there. Eidetic Memory, we can't counter that. Okay. With a 2-1 on board, we really don't mind this 2-2 Forum Familiar, so I'm going to hit their Mana Dork and Seasoned Consultant. I guess they could collect the evidence to tap Bubble Smuggler, but then we double block the Forum Familiar. Nope, they're going to untap some mana. While they still can. Fair enough. Was that not the move to combat step? I swear to God, I thought that was the move to combat step. Weird. They still got to do a main phase creature. Alright, well. It's interesting. They've got 3 cards in hand. Had a lot of card draw here thanks to the double eidetic memory there. So they've still got action if we cover up. Let's extract the confession. Guess it does help decide that we don't even have the mana to cover up yet. So might as well not do it yet. Okay, so we'll have the mana next turn. Surveil 2, exile a card from a graveyard. Whenever one or more creatures you control and or creatures in your graveyard are put into exile, you make a flying copy. Okay, there's nothing big enough to matter for the exile, but I could still surveil to set up draws. Kind of like that. Well, I really like these draws. I don't even know the order. Probably Lazov first, since I can do Lazov plus something else in the same turn. Yeah, I like just juicing up Kaya to as high loyalty as possible, so I can set up a turn where I just chump everything they attack with and then cover up as the follow-up. +1 Kaya and just have like a 6 or 7 loyalty Kaya sitting here on the empty board. Does this trigger during our opponent's turn? Yeah, so I can turn one of my flyers into a 1/3 so it survives a block if I want. It's pretty spicy. Like the tapped season consultants getting the buff. I don't think it'll matter here because I'm probably just trying to cover up and hope that they don't have a counter. But yeah, I can save one of these, which is very cute.
Being incorporeal is a great way to leave a dull party.
Okay, they have 2 cards in their hand. We cover up before anything else so that I can plus Kaya afterward, and if it gets countered, then I haven't just attacked with my whole board and not held up blockers. Yeah, I'm gonna not get damage here. Just so if they do have the counterspell for this, I still have blocks set up.
I play by my own rules. Keeps things interesting.
That's annoying. I don't have nearly enough mana to have waited on that. Need 7. Yeah, what can you do?
Don't gaze too long into the abyss. I've seen a lot of things there.
When I say I needed 7, it was 7 to cast it while holding up my own counterspell. Or to cast it and have 2 mana up against a reasonable doubt. Although they're in blue-white, so they could have had the counter unless we paid 3. In which case, it would be, yeah, 5 for cover-up, 2 for reasonable doubt. There's Dramatic Accusation. Yeah. What a bummer. Just needed more mana. I even surveilled, but I saw really spicy non-land cards, so I kept them. Okay, Foreign Familiar is a 2/2 with no text right now, so Inside Source is a stronger card to kill. Wait, are they all going at Kaya? Yeah, they're all going at Kaya. So she's dead no matter what. I guess I could double block Consultant, block there, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, have a 1 loyalty Kaya still around. That's not exactly worth it. Alright, we can extract the 5/5 Seasoned Consultant and play Lazov in the same turn. We've got solid blockers on the ground. They could use Forensic Researcher to tap down Lazov, in which case we still want to be able to double block a 2/2 with these two. So no attacks. Oh god almighty. Gigantic 4/4 bounce Lazov here. Get a full swing. Could bounce their own familiar to draw another card when they have eidetic memory on board. Yep, so there's a clue to draw another card off eidetic memory, plus they can use the 4 familiar to pick up the memory again and replay it. The memory just being the MVP of this game. That is filthy. Something. They have way more than enough mana to get around Reasonable Doubt, but they could play and flip Familiar and then replay Eidetic Memory, and that would cost all 7 of their mana, and we can counter the memory then by holding it up. Let's see. And get that accomplished here. I think we have to exile the 4/4, because if we get Satchel rolling, then we will have the flying blockers we need to try to double or triple block the Crime Stopper sprite. So if they haven't drawn into anything, they could go face down Familiar, flip it up, pick up memory, recast memory. That is not the play. Play a face down. Play a Surveil land. Yeah, they really do have all the time in the world in their position. They don't need to play in anything. Should have used Gravestone Strider there, but Auto Tapper wants to do its thing, and who am I to argue? Yep, familiar up the memory, cast it with 500 lands up, so no countering. Kind of lost this game the second our board wipe got countered, but we're just going through the motions here. Our opponent is really think tanking on every decision here. I am not sure I have the patience for that today, so we might be close to scoop time. Yeah, no, our chances are low enough here. I'm not going to play it out at this rate. Only had the trick 2 anyway. Let's head into game 2. Here we are on the play for game number 2 with horrifically bad mana. We need blue desperately here and cannot afford to keep this without a blue source. Back at it again with the terrible mana. At least we can cast 3 of these spells, potentially. I have the double black for the cover-up. I have the 3 for the smuggler. I have the 2 for the extract. Just ditch the deduce and roll from there. Suppose we do. I guess we drafted close to a mono black deck secretly, according to the Arena Shuffler. Meanwhile, our opponent's going to have full 5 color turn 3. Yep, blue, red, white, green, black. Cool. There's the blue source. But I have drawn exclusively lands, so now I am really wishing I had not gotten rid of the deduce. But obviously you can't know that you're just going to draw exclusively lands. Our opponent's already up a ton of cards here. We're on the mulligan plus a little flooded. They've got a clue here. They've got 7 in hand. It's really not looking good already. There's the face down from our opponent. I'm just going to hold off here. I'm not going to extract the Confession of one creature when I could board wipe the whole board. And I'm only 1 mana away from just flipping up a Bubble Smuggler and trying to win combat against that. It's exactly Reasonable Doubt mana up. Guess I could have taxed it so they couldn't pay for the ward here. Yeah, I guess that would have been fine. But also just letting them exile the Bubble Smuggler's fine. Because then Deadly Cover-Up is just going to be one-sided. Yeah, I mean, we were going to have to cash in Cover-Up in a couple turns regardless, most likely, so probably is pretty fine to have just held on to the Reasonable Doubt, even though I didn't realize we absolutely could have countered there. Museum Night Watch. So one of their creatures gets around a board wipe. And I've drawn a combat trick with no more creatures now. And their hand is no more creatures? Oh, there's a creature. Well, the nice thing about toxin analysis is you can always cycle it away. So our opponent gets left with a 2/2, which they can turn into a 3/3 off of the Maverick. Pretty dang bad for me. That means Gravestone Strider doesn't even work. Could extract it. Kind of want to wait for them to put the counter on it first, though. And also wait to see if they play a bigger creature. It's definitely not lethal, but that is a lot of damage. Might have to just push this, though. Because extracts can kill something bigger. Like, if they play a 6-power creature, I can't kill that with a push. I'll just be dead by the time it's tapped. I think I have to just push this. Alright. We really need to find a threat, and I have no idea what their full grip of 5 cards is. It's just all removal over there. Entering maintenance soon. Better not be full maintenance. I got 2 more drafts to record today. I'm not going to attack with this because I need it to have a blue mana up. And they might blow it up if I send in. Oh, it's a Niv Mizzet. They waited for reasonable doubt mana to cast. Well, I'm very glad I held on to the extract and cast the push. Should we just exile that 1 card? Alright, well that seems decent. Close to evening the life totals here. Yeah. Exile the Bubble Smuggler. This reasonable doubt is never going to counter anything. So I can still use it to suspect something. Think I just exile this?
I can get rid of anything, living or dead.
Oh my god, reasonable doubt has countered something. We did it. That is incredibly impressive.
Apparitions come
It was a sanguine savior.
all look like a payday to me.
A little concerned about my 1 loyalty Kaya, so I'm not going to attack there. Once I have 2 creatures out, I think that'll be fine, though.
Being incorporeal is a great way to leave a dull party.
Do I thin a land out of the deck or save this for unblockable? Okay, probably just thin a land out. Lazov as well. No creatures in grave. I do want to start surveilling now to set up draws. Find an out cold, which is a big deal. What is their hand? The world may never know. It's gotta be just like instant speed removal style stuff. Yeah, like out cold. Okay, well now I'm making a 1/1 flyer. Well, with out cold up, actually. I don't need to. Yeah, let's surveil again. Gorehound drag the canal. I think either of these are particularly good, but drag's a little better. It's a little larger. This is exile, so no creatures have technically died for drag the canal. If I use a Kaya -2. It's a little sad. This is a little greedy, but I'm going to try to get out cold value here. Just going to let the Market Watch Phantom chill for a turn, and then I'll try to out cold 2 creatures next turn. See if they play another. Suppose I could always chump the Market Watch Phantom with a Spirit, so that I get the clue off the Drag of the Canal, I get the Surveil off of it, and then I can out cold in their end step, trying to make sure they don't have any blockers up when I crack back for exactly 6. Yeah, if we lose 1/1/1, we'll have a 2/2, a 2/3, and 2/1 power creatures for the exact lethal. Bite down on crime. I cannot stop that. I might have to out cold pre-combat here then. Face down to give the Phantom flying. Alright, they move to combat and we have to out cold. Just like a bunch of bite down on crimes they couldn't cast because they needed a creature on board. It looks like it, yeah, hard-hitting question kind of removal. It doesn't save me. I'll have 1-mana interaction here, which also isn't going to stop it, so I'm not going to drag till the end step. I guess I should have dragged first to Surveil 2 and then crack that clue, and still have 3 mana up. But cracking this clue, I'd only have 1 mana up, and that wouldn't be anything. They have Repulsive Mutation. That actually doesn't matter, though, because then I just exile the Marker Watch Phantom anyway. So never mind. I'd say that would be really bad, but it's actually not, because Kaya's still around. Yeah, no, that is super good here. Not super good, but super fine.
Apparitions come in many. Don't gaze too long into the abyss. I've seen a lot of things there.
Case of the Shattered Pact. Grab a basic. Hey, there's an Atrata. It's pretty spicy. Just keep getting spirits here.
With a little cunning, you can dodge death and taxes.
With a little cunning, you can dodge death and taxes, she says. I don't know, I think the IRS has something to say about that. Alright, if they removal spell our other flyer, they poke Kaya for 3, but she's still around. There's a Trotta. Go for the face. I'm at 6. I think we block that. Ooh, their own board wipe. No witnesses here. Got 9 cards left. What can I draw into? Crime Stopper Sprite, Detective Satchel, Unscrupulous Agent, a Deduce, a Slice from the Shadows. I don't think I want to crack this clue. As low on cards as I am. I want to just make spirits and not mill out.
Was a great way to leave a dull party.
Slice was an excellent draw. Unscrupulous Agent is an excellent draw. Just gets rid of an island. They're down to 2, and Kaya is just resilient to that board wipe.
I'm not afraid.
3 1/1s on board against an opponent at 2 life. And we get there. Weird game of Magic. We were wildly behind on cards basically the entire time. They had like a full grip of 5 or 6. We constantly had 1 or 2 in hand. But they just did not have the right cards at the right time. So just grind it all out with this Kaya. Find a long fought victory. We are now 1-1 heading into game 3. Here we are now for game 3. The super awkward mana starts continue. At least we've got 2 lands. We've got the correct mana off of Escape Tunnel. But this is still like, we drew our 1 white source. We really don't need it. So we draw too many blue cards and things are going to get really awkward here, especially if they kill the Gravestone Strider. Turn 1 Hedge Whisperer. Alright, well now we kind of need the white source for Makeshift Binding, but Strider could have gotten us there. Green-black from our opponent. Uh-oh. Our deck is not good against an Insidious Roots kind of deck. You want to just aggro this sort of thing out before they start popping off. We are really slow. Well, I could at least extract the Confession out of the Whisper so they can't use this to collect any evidence to get any plants. I think that's a fine way to start things off. It does give them a creature in their graveyard, but I'm sure they have ways to do that. Case in point, Underground Mortuary surveils a 6-drop creature, which is kind of perfect. And we draw the 1 red source, too. The 1 red basic. Oh, this mana base is so rude. Alright, Unscrupulous Agent seems fine against the 4 cards in hand. The only reason we need blue mana from Gravestone Strider right now would be for Out Cold. And that's only if we top deck a land and they have multiple creatures on board, so we just agent here. What did we exile, by the way? Their own Out Cold, fair enough. Okay. Slice this face down. Seems fine. Was a Riftburst Hellion. Well, they have a lot of creature-based evidence in their graveyard here. There's a Furtive Courier. Play a Bubble Smuggler that's big enough to block it. Yeah. As soon as I hit a land, I'm going to play a Gravestone Strider and hold up Reasonable Doubt, and then I'll have Out Cold up on future turns from there. Murder the face down so we can't block the Courier. They get their draw and discard here. That is very good. There's the mana. Took some time, but here we are. I think Courier's bad enough to push and Strider this turn. Still got a Makeshift Binding for their next threat. Gorehound is not much of a threat. Well, so far I'm feeling very happy about the decision to get rid of their repeatable way to collect evidence. That would have triggered Insidious Roots a lot by now if they wanted to. Got the 2 blockers up to double block the Menace. And they're just going to pass through? Sure. Alright, well, now we're just going to pass through. Hold up our instance and deduce during their end step. Our deck should play out a little bit better in a draw-go kind of position. If the Gravestone Strider ends up in their grave, it is going to let them get 1 plants. Actually 2, right? Yeah, they get 1 for exiling the Strider and then 1 for the target getting exiled once this ability resolves. Yeah, they get 1 when they activate the ability and 1 when the ability resolves. So we might want to just Makeshift Binding that. Or Out Cold. Ooh, there's an Atrata. That is really sweet. That's 3 mana. If I can hit a 6th land, I can Atrata plus Binding in the same turn, which is real nice. There's a land. Oh yeah. Let's do it. Let's shut off the double Insidious Roots trigger here. And now we're ahead in life total and way ahead on board. I can definitely afford to take the 1 on the crackback. I'm going to play it really greedy with this Reasonable Doubt, though, actually. Just going to really make sure I always have this up. Uh-oh. Hedge Whisperer is a repeatable way to collect evidence. but it is sorcery speed. So I can outcold during their upkeep to stop it from working for 2 turns. Could also just deadly cover up. Get all the murderers out of their deck. I wouldn't want to exile creatures, because even if I exile one of their creatures, it'll trigger Insidious Roots. Yeah, sure, I mean, board wipe into a Trotta seems fine. Okay, so definitely don't exile a creature, which means we exile murder. They've got a murder in hand. Let's see their deck here. Push, Pull, Topiary Panther, Surveillance Monitor, Eavesdropper, Courier, Case, Onlooker. Got a V2 Gauzy Inspector for Collect Evidence. Evidence Examiner would be the worst for us. They don't have too many other ways to trigger this Insidious Roots. I guess Surveillance Monitor does it too. Yeah, they've got a decent amount. I guess Pull works too. It's pretty gross. Yeah, I've got a Trot in hand, so we exile Murder and let them draw something else. Case of the Stashed Skeleton. Hit me with a 2/1 Menace every turn. Oh, and the skeleton taps for mana because the Insidious Roots? Oh, hey, Kaya. If I play Kaya, I'm not minusing her right now, and they could hit her for 2, and also I'm not holding up Reasonable Doubt. It did seem like a lot of their best plays are cheap enough to get around the Reasonable Doubt, though, right? Like the 4-mana creature that collects evidence makes a Thopter, the 2-mana creature that collects evidence. Yeah, I'm just gonna go. Just gonna get rolling.
I heard you had some dead things that needed to stay. Monsters know better than to hide under my bed.
They hit the Inspector. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Just like one of their best draws, and it's just way too cheap for Reasonable Doubt to do anything anyway. Now they get to hit Kaya for 3 here. But they don't attack. I guess because I could double block, but the case would be solved. They get to tutor out their evidence collector thing and go crazy. Let's out cold the creatures that can block, so I can definitely get a Trotta in. Cloak something. The Swamp. Get another Spirit.
Don't gaze too long into the
Hold up our counterspell or crack the clue. Alright, they're over at the Atrata Kaya Dream Team combo. Takes us to 2-1 now as we head into game 4. Here we are for game 4 of the super grindy, weird mana blue-black control deck that takes 50 minutes to end a game. We can grab a white source off Escape Tunnel, and then we have blue, black, and white. It's everything we need for the current hand. I do need a blue or a black to cast this Drag the Canal, but if I draw either, I'll be able to do it. You know what? I've got a Deduce to cast too. Let's go Sewers first. See what we hit. I need to ditch that. We need more lands. Hold up. Turn 1 Leyline of the Guild Pack. They have perfect mana now? Alright, but they're down a card. They basically mulliganed to have perfect mana. I don't think that's generally good in limited. I'm pretty fine with that. Especially if they hit good lands like they have so far. Green and blue already. For, yeah, their green and blue card. Okay, 3 mana, turn 3. We're drawn into these lands perfectly. We extract a Confession here and pull out the plains. Locks it on Eavesdropper. That's a great value play. The clue? Why is it? Oh, because all their permanents are all colors too. It's cute. Five mana for the cover up. Am I just taking a swing for a turn? Probably. Find a Gorehound. Guess we got 3 creatures post board wipe. Take 4. Drop Perimeter Enforcer. It's an Atrata. Okay, we have more than strong enough creatures to recover post board wipe, so I'm going to play another creature of my own to get them to play another creature of their own. So that they have less to recover with post board wipe, because we have plenty even without this Crime Stopper sprite. Judith. Alright, well, that was a pretty good wait 1 turn then board wipe. Card to see. Bazinga. Alright, they got 3 cards in hand against these 6. Can their 3 cards beat these 6? Maybe. There are some really powerful cards in the set. One, you have a man of every color. Axebane Ferox is certainly one of them. I do have the evidence to target that, so I will be fine. But if they have another bomb threat like the Ferox, I'm only going to be able to kill 1 here. So we binding the Ferox, collecting cover up as the evidence. Find a Slice from the Shadows? Absolutely, we'll keep that. Drop a Gravestone Strider. Pick your poison. Main deck for the makeshift binding. Seems good. It's the case to make the Ferox even bigger, but now I can just slice it, right, for 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? No, I'm 1 mana off? Well, I can Toxin Analysis or Slice from the Shadows at next turn. I think I want to play around instant speed removal for my opponent and just let the damage go through, then kill it in the end step with Slice for 5. I think I'd rather play around like instant speed removal than a combat trick. If they've got the combat trick, we get got. Oh my god, come on! Not like this! Well, let's not collect any evidence, because it can't be countered, and it's not going to kill it anyway. Still got toxin analysis. Do they have instant speed removal and the combat trick? No. They did not have instant speed removal. Oh, wow, that deck is loaded. Ferox, hide in plain sight. Judith. Oh, Lord. More threats. Oh. Ferox Judith? I mean, that's going to be cool for either half of the card at some point. Drawn to a bubbly smuggly. Won't have the mana to play it and flip it, so I might as well draw another card. See if it's a better play. It is not. This Sentry's going to make these face downs flip so large. This case is about to be solved too. Yeah, we need a Death Toucher on board. I need blockers enough to play a Smuggler too. These things flip into anything bigger than a 3/3, they just kill both of these. It's a 3/3 with a +1/+1 counter on it from the Sentry. Whatever. Hope it's Nervous Gardener because there's some kind of 5-color mush. Oh, it looks decent. No witnesses? That is real surprising. That just really flipped things in our favor. Now. And we're way ahead on cards. So the cloaks were just not great for our opponent. A Bubble Smuggler and a Dream. Start hitting with a 6/5. Six plus 4. 10 damage. I choose my own graveyard. My stuff's just smaller, but I could cloak one of their cards. Yeah, it's lethal next turn probably, so let's just do that. I mean, definitely. If they don't kill a Bubble Smuggler, it's definitely lethal next turn. Yeah, that is... that is a loaded deck, isn't it? Is there any purpose to giving Menace here? Then they definitely take 6. So they're at 6 life. I need to find a way to do 6 more damage. Take both of these. They have to block one of them. guess. I mean, it's got flying anyway. And this is better if we don't, but I have to pull here because I can't push Aurelia anyway. Oh, never mind, I don't have to. I can Detective Satchel to block Aurelia. Since pull's not lethal. Yeah, if pull isn't lethal, I just die for having cast it, so we Satchel to have a blocker up. For Aurelia. I guess I don't quite die, I go to 1. But that's still very sketchy. Is it truly just a bubble smuggler and a dream we don't even need the push pull? I'm still going to cast it in case they instant speed removal the bubble smuggler here. Get the extra 1 damage. Oh shoot, I guess I do let them draw a card by using pull. Gives them 1 extra card to try to not die. Alright, they are dead anyway. And by sending in 2 4/4s, it does force the Aurelia block. So I guess we could have done that earlier. I wasn't thinking of the fact of the Loxodon Eavesdropper actually attacking as a 4/4. Sending in the Smuggler and 2 4/4s, they have to block something. They can't just let all of the damage in. And then if they do block either 4/4, then Aurelia is gone. Yeah, I probably should have pulled the turn before that. Either way, it does work out perfectly fine for us in the end, and we are 3-1, at least a 50-50 record this time around as we head into game number 5. Here we are on the play for game a lot. We've got a blue and a black for Lazov. We might have some trouble hitting Kaya if Gravestone Strider dies, but if not, Lazov into Kaya is a curve. It's Lazov with the Gravestone Strider in the middle to fix the mana, and then the Kaya. I guess there's no creatures engraved to exile with the Lazov, but it does exile any card, so we'll still get the clue exiling our own escape tunnel. So we still get value, we just don't have the ability to make Lazov massive or anything. Update is available. Alright, I'll restart Arena at some point in the next few days. No! Alright, well, we'll restart Arena after this game. We probably won't. I'll probably forget. I'm going to Gravestone Strider, so if we top deck a land, we get to Kaya. Uh-oh, 2 out of 3 artifacts for their Case of the Filch Falcon. They might be able to get a 4/4 flyer soon. I guess what's nice about that, though, is they did cast a Deduce, so there's another card in a graveyard for us to Lazov away. Ooh, they have to crack the clue digging for land 3. They do find a mountain. But, yeah, that means the case is harder to solve. We know Kaya's going to resolve here, and that's going to be awesome. I am very happy with how this game's going so far. The one thing I'm a little scared of is if they have a bomb rare, if they have, like, the blue-red board wipe or the double-white board wipe. Those would be the only things that might be kind of bad for us. Outside of that, it should be very hard for them to recover from this start. And even if they have one of those, we're not completely out of this game thanks to all the clues Lazov's given us here. We can just spend our next turn drawing a million cards if they're going to wipe our whole board. Alright, there's the Galvanize for Lazov. Still did his work. He did 4 damage and got us 2 clues. This does significantly slow down the clock on our opponent here. We're hitting for 2 this turn, then 3 next turn, and then so on. It's going to be quite some time. Let's go for a face down smuggler. If I hit land 6, that gets to flip up next turn for a ton of damage.
I don't let anything slip through the cracks. Other than myself, of
You know, I could always +2 the Kaya to surveil and then exile Lazov from our grave to make one of our flyers a 2/3 Lazov, give us another clue. Actually, it can make one of our clues a Lazov, right? Any token? Target token you control. Yeah, that's actually kind of a big deal. I think we should start using the +2 with clue tokens sitting around rather than the +1 here. Because then, like, we use Lazov, get another clue token, so on and so forth. Oh, push and pull, though. That makes me want to leave creatures in my grave so I can pick up 2 for the lethal in the end. So I guess I'm just making a spirit again at that rate. Yeah, I do. I think I am doing that. Go for max damage here, make a spirit, and then pull next turn.
I'm not afraid.
I guess right now we're still only pulling Lazov. But they're at 5 life against a ton of stuff, yeah. So it still gets there without the pull. And we are now 4-1 at the break-even point with a positive record no matter what happens. So a sweet spot to be as we head into Game 6. Here we are on the play. Is this like Game 6 now? No blue source is quite bad. Extremely bad, but I have a board wipe at 5 mana, so snap keep. We'll be fine. Hit any 2 lands in the deck and we'll be fine. Alright, we immediately hit the island, so actually we're in Magical Christmas Land, where dreams come true and nothing ever goes wrong. Kind of don't want to play the Atrata into this board wipe here, because we see Boros from our opponent, so the board wipe's going to kill a lot of stuff. Pretty much guaranteed. Oh no, that's actually the worst 3-drop they could play for me because it's not a creature, but it matters a lot. Really wanted them just to play a face-down creature or even just a really good face-up creature. That gets around our board wipe very well. Yeah, we might just get War Leaders called completely out of this game. All their creatures are even more important now. I'm happy they pre-committed that. Gives me another turn to draw more stuff out. I should have cracked this during my turn in case it's something we wanted to cast there. But I don't think we'd want to cast anything because any creatures we would just be like, no, I'm going to board wipe. Gearbane Orangutan. Be a 5/5 because they cracked the clue. Actually, I would be very happy if they cracked the clue because then they have less card draw post board wipe, less of a board. The Night Watch is still good against the board wipe, but yeah, them not having a clue here is pretty nice. Alright, I wouldn't have played the Gravestone Strider, so it doesn't matter that I didn't crack the clue. Oh, thank you so much, opponent. Just the full playing into the board here. Kind of wish I could Dragon board wipe, but there's no way I survive this if I don't board wipe right now, so we board wipe right now. Rip all the Novice Inspectors out of their deck, I guess. Yeah, they're going to be left with a 3/3 when we're down to low. I guess I could get rid of all the Museum Night Watchers. That's actually a little more annoying to me. So they have Detonation in hand for 4 damage to Atrata. That's sad. they had 2 more. They were in the wide open white draft pod where you get triple Inspector, but they didn't have more Market Watch ramps. Oh my god, they were in a wide open draft pod. Double Novice Inspector, Case, Makeshift Binding, a double Inside Source on the job. These caught red-handeds are going to randomly kill us too. Well, this is not what I want to see. That's terrifying. Yeah, I just thought the odds of them having multiple copies of the Museum Night Watch were much higher than the odds of them having multiple copies of Novice Inspector, because Novice Inspector is the best common in the format and it gets picked way higher than Museum Night Watch. But obviously, that didn't work out. They have the detonation for the Etrata, so we're not gonna do that. As tempted as I am to pull, I might have to push. At 9 life. This is a sorcery, so I can Toxin Analysis, actually. Yeah. If this were instant speed, I think I'd have to pull here, because then they just counter Toxin Analysis with the Suspicious Detonation. But we can actually just Analysis trade the 3/3 away. Cool. Now we have an active Drag the Canal to set up our draws, find a Detective Satchel, which is perfect. I'm going to draw a card here. I'm not going to go full greed for the Thopters. I'm going to be mana efficient on that. Unscrupulous Agent. One of the cards is Detonation, the other is a top deck. That seems honestly fine. They did play a land last turn, so the odds of another land in here aren't massively high. Yeah, they got rid of the detonation. Let's go. Etrata is potentially golden here. Let's do it. Let's see. Is Etrata good to go? I guess I hold up the ability to use Gravestone Strider in case they have a pull of their own they're going to try to kill us with. I can respond by exiling one of the cards they're trying to reanimate, so we don't crack the clue during our turn. Caught red-handed. Gain control of it till end of turn. Give it haste and suspect it. That's really annoying. They get to cloak one of my cards then? Wow. Well, that is very good. But now I have a suspected Etrata that they can't block. I mean, I guess Etrata has Death Touch anyway, so they weren't going to block her. Yeah, and there's the Novice Inspectors I didn't get to exile. Keep getting shot by the call. So I could double block Etrata and kill her. I kill my cloaked card. I guess most of the creatures in my deck, their cloaked card is probably just a 3/3 here, period. Is there anything I can pull to help Etrata get through? No. Etrata's just not going to get through. She's going to trade into one of their 2 cards because the Horde Leader's Call making Novice Inspectors 2/3s is just too big. It's too beef. Okay, the suspecting Etrata here was actually like super, super good for our opponent. Because blocking was the best thing she's going to be doing at this point. I don't have any more combat chicks in this deck, right? The only one I have is the Death Touch lifelink. I guess I have a Slice from the Shadows I could use to kill one of the blockers at instant speed if we draw into that, so I guess we keep her around trying to do that rather than just trading into a cloaked card. right now. Inside source is disgusting with the call, the double shoot, and that's a 2-2 and a 3-3. Big yikes. My god, we're just so dead. Just the most open Boros draft pot I've seen since like the first week of the format. Although I feel like I say that every time I play against Boros, because every time I try to draft it, it ain't this open. Yeah, no, I mean, we look really dead here. Do this and then push Inspector. Let's cloak a blocker. Oh, let's go. Slice from the shadows value. I've played my one red card. We'll tap the red source. Okay, and then try to Atrada take over the game. Suspected Atrada doing things. I will have 2 blockers up even if I attack with everybody, because Atrada cloaks a card and Satchel makes a Thopter. So I'll have enough blockers to block a suspected card they steal from me. Just the planes. I should have main phased that, in case we hit another card. Okay, cycling on the job, so they have 2 cards to play this turn. We need to kill them quick, because they can also just play 4 creatures. Past turn. Yeah, I'm gonna get punished real hard for not having just played Kaya last turn. There's Lazov. Kaya Lazov for multiple blockers. Any lifelinkers in Grave to use Kaya's ability with? Nope. Okay, then. Cloak another blocker. Get a Kaya blocker. Get a Lazov blocker.
I'm gonna make you some the best ghost hunter.
Here we are. The blocker's another planes. Definitely helping our opponent dig out of potential extra flood, but still gonna be good enough. We just slam a few rares and mythics in a row there after board wiping early in the game, and that's all it takes to win with the black deck. You just have to play like 4 or 5 mythics per game, or 4 or 5 rares per game. But we take those. We are now 5-1, I think, in the money here with this deck. Yeah, really just riding on the high of some really powerful rares. So, super sweet draft, whatever happens from here, and Arena is going to force me to update, so I'll see you all for round number 7. Alright, here we are on the play for game number 7. Got pretty perfect mana here, we just don't really have anything to do with it, so we certainly need to draw into our ways to end the game, but I'm happy to keep it. It's kind of the opposite of a lot of our earlier hands today. We've had a lot of just like 2-landers with awkward colors of mana, really relying on Gravestone Striders. This time, like, the mana's super fine, we just gotta find some action. There's a Detective's Satchel coming up. So let's get the Strider down. Could Thoroughfare the Strider. And play Extract in the same turn from Strider's mana fixing here. Now I have a Swamp, so I could also just naturally cast Extract, but couldn't extract the Scapegoat on turn 2 because I didn't have a black source yet. Do I need to extract the Scapegoat that badly? No, I can double block it at some point. And as soon as it moves the suspected thing over, it's not going to be doing stuff anymore. I suppose, because we have 2 Striders here, we don't need to play Public Thorough for this turn. So I can have just 2 1/3s to double block the 1/1 Menace here. Yeah, so they move the Menace over. And now Scapegoat is firmly blocked off. And we play Detective's Satchel. Red deck with 3 mana up to flip this thing, we definitely double block, right? I guess I could have the +3/+0 first strike, but that still only kills one of the 2 Striders. I don't think there's a way for them to kill both of these without losing the creature, but they could kill one without losing it. Okay, kill one, and it's just a trade, which is super nice. Another Scapegoat. That is less nice. Need 5 mana to play Crime Stopper plus crack a clue. It's going to be where it's at. It's going to take the 2 mana to crack the clue anyway, so I won't have mana up for whatever I draw into, so we might as well do it at instant speed. They are blue-red, going with their Gadget Technician. There's Surveillance Monitor. Let's counter that Collect Evidence then. No Thopter off that. They will suspect the 3/3 though. Okay, now I could draw into something that would matter, so I'll crack the clue main phase. Because we have nothing we're going to cast at this rate. So Lazov? Yeah, casting Lazov now does feel better. Play an untapped land to crack the clue? No, I want to crack it when the Satchel's untapped. Gleaming Gear Drake. Okay, that needs to die. We need to find a way to deal with that quick. That's a whole thing. There's an Atrata. Really good blocker here. Extract still looks horrific. It's just going to kill a 1/1 Scapegoat that's not doing anything anyway. Let's crack again. Nothing in graveyards for Lazov, so Lazov doesn't even give us a clue when we attack. So I don't think the Lazov attack is worth it. Probably not worth attacking with the Sprite either, because then they crack in with the Gear Drake in the sky. Drop a Trata and pass. Would like something to end up in the grave so Lazov can start giving us more clues so we can get more Thopters out of the Detective Satchel. And I guess Furtive Courier guarantees something will be in the grave even if it's not a creature. Lazov can exile anything to give us a clue. Ooh, it's a creature too. It's a Crime Stopper sprite. Just the Popos. Gadget Technician. Okay, yeah, but we're starting to have a really bad time on blocks. The Kaya. We do not have any good options here, really. Might just be getting as many 1/1 flyers as possible, and that would be Going attack, exile, investigate pre-blocks. We'll crack the crew pre-blocks so that this is flying, so if they want to trade, they have to trade Gear Drake rather than something on ground. And then we get a flyer off Satchel and a flyer off Kaya. Seems reasonable. Alternatively, we have Kaya exile one of their cards at the cost of one of our flyers. I think we just keep making blockers, though.
I heard you had some dead things that needed to stay dead. Nobody's ready to die. That's why so many stick around after they do.
All at her face. Well, we really hope they don't have like a fuss here for +1/+1 to everybody permanently. Yeah, this could very well just be dead. We've got a really big trick. It will be horrendous. Like horrendous. Maybe they have the blue-red board wipe, actually. Okay, if they have fuss, we lose. If they have the blue-red board wipe, these are our best blocks. I feel like if they had the board wipe, they would have sent everything at Kaya, though, right? This is probably really stupid, but I'm going to play around fuss here. Still kill Gear Drake. Kill that. Still kill that. Take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I guess this doesn't even play around fuss that bad because they could have fuss plus shock and like kill us here. I don't know, I'll do this. If it's just fuss, then this plays about as well as we can, I think. And if it's the blue-red board wipe, it's going to be about the same either way. If it's just like two common combat tricks, I don't think there's anywhere we can make really good blocks. Because they're like +3/+0 first strike type stuff. Okay, there's a shock. Okay, it's just a shock. It's pretty bad for me. Ooh, makeshift binding is so good off the top. That life gain is huge. Huge life gain there. So Lazov, so we have a clue to crack. To have another flying blocker. Also send in a Trotta for the cloak, because that also brings a blocker up. Yeah, both of these give us another blocker by attacking. These are just like free attacks. Cloak the top card. It's a mountain. Get a flyer, surveil one into the grave. See if we draw something that matters. We don't. Okay. This looks really favorable. Case of the Filch Falcon, though. That's another 4/4 flyer after they solve it. Which will be in the end step of this turn. Is this instant speed, the ability? Oh, they're going to crack the clue, though, so it's no longer solved. But yeah, they can make something a 4/4 instant speed if it is solved. Deduce is a great draw with the satchel. It feels like we're just going to town at this point. Make this a 3-2 if they triple block it. We'll lose the Lazav at that point, but like wipe their whole boards. That's fine. Actually, I could make it the unblockable thing here, which is even spicier. Our land surveils again. I'll keep that. Lifelink seems pretty sweet as a trick. Should just draw into that immediately.
They're afraid of me.
Good lord. Lazav, Atrata, Kaya, all really flipping this game, turning it around on our opponent here. It's a red herring. Crack it to draw the card, make the Gear Drake bigger. Play a land, drop a second Gear Drake. Their deck is very good, but we're just bombing all over the place. The full airstrike this game. Ooh, they also solved their thing. They don't have the mana to activate it right now. They're at 10 life. There's got to be a way to find lethal here. I can put them down to 1 blocker. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If I could get them to 0 blockers, I could get there. Which I guess I can do, right? They're tapped out, so I know I can do whatever I want. I mean, they've got 1 clue to sack, but outside of that, they have nothing to do. Yeah, so then I can out cold 2 creatures. Crack the clue for the unblockable 3, as well as a creature to sack to this, and then that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Exact lethal.
Apparitions come in many shapes, but they all look like a payday to me. Sometimes people rely a little too heavily on the spirits.
10 damage, right? Oop. Doesn't really matter what I discard. So I guess this is just like going for the full lethal right now, make sure they don't draw into the board wipe, but even if they hit the board wipe, Kaya doesn't die to it, and we're still 3 or 4 cards in hand there, but wow, yeah, really, really great stuff from all these rares, all these assassins working together. We are now 6-1, heading into the final boss with 2 rounds in the chamber. Here we are on the play for our first attempt at the final boss here. We've got the board wipe with a Kaya to survive the board wipe and keep giving us spirits. That seems like a game plan right there. Playing against a white deck. White-black. The Kaya mirror match. There's Homicide Investigator. Okay, I was gonna say that might be really good against our board wipe. It's just decent against it. If I wipe the whole board in 1 turn, then I only give them 1 clue, so it's not that big of a deal. Face down card. Do I let Kaya take a little damage here so that she's around the turn that I board wipe and I get a 1/1 right after I wipe? Kind of think I do. She's going to be 4 loyalty. I guess they could spend removal on the spirit to kill her. There's a risk to that for sure. Might not be worth it. Could make her 5 loyalty and then this needs to flip up as 3 power to kill her. Seems slightly safer. Although getting them to spend a removal spell, it's still decent. I guess Kaya dies to a combat trick either way too. So we just pass. If this is a flip that costs 4 or less, it could be pretty bad for us. Because then they just spend all their mana flipping this turn instead of committing more creatures to the board, and our board wipe becomes weaker. Yep. Okay, that's not horrific for us, because at least we're also killing the dogs, but it's not good. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on board. They could just on the job me and kill me if I don't board wipe. Yeah, we kind of have to cash it in. It's not great, though. I really wish I did play the Kaya last turn and made the spirit, but we'll never know if they had the removal in hand to just kill her anyway, but if the play was going to be flip dog walker, then the spirit chomp would have been really good. Driftnaught tracker, get rid of some evidence. Basically just a 3/2 flyer for 4. Okay. Kaya's not great here, but I can Kaya and hold up toxin analysis on blocks, which is probably good enough. And if they really hate my spirit and they spend removal on it, I can always deduce instead of toxin analysis.
Apparitions come in many shapes, but they all look like a payday to me.
Our opponent looks like they're just on black-white there, grab another black source. Although they might need triple black for Vein Ripper. I'm really tired of seeing Vein Ripper though, so I'm really gonna hope that's not what it is. They are gonna murder a spirit. It's gonna spend a murder and a combat trick here, probably, to kill Kaya. No? That's really bold if they're not even gonna kill the Kaya. Can makeshift binding, set up a bubble smuggler, and still have that toxin analysis backup. Seven mana. Oh. That's tap, tap, concede. That's just tap all the mana, scoop them up. Well, they didn't miss a land drop, so maybe just flood it out in the hand there, but not expecting things to end that quickly there. Looks like it all works out super fine for us. They were bold enough to just throw a murder at our spirit just to hit Kaya as hard as they could, so we know that they had a murder in the end. They might have had a murder on that turn 4 to where if I did play Kaya earlier, we couldn't have got there, so maybe it did pan out well to go for the Kaya the turn after the board wipe rather than the turn before, like I was potentially planning on. Either way, whatever it is, whatever made it work well, it did work out well, and we are 7-1 for today's draft with max prize out of this deck. Really sweet stuff. This was a huge overperformer of a deck. Not a big fan of black in this format, but when you get really, really strong rares and incentives to head there, then it can pull off some victories. You just need to have some really powerful cards and really powerful reasons to be there, like Deadly Cover-Up and Kaya and Atrata and Lazav. Certainly a draft pod where the black decks were wide open, specifically blue-black, for sure. Getting 3 rares in blue-black alone. So, pretty sweet one. Very different deck from what I'm usually doing, because I quite frequently avoid black like the plague. And when I'm trying to do splashy multicolor decks, it's almost always some green pile of mush. So getting a non-green deck that's really splashing around for 2 different colors, splashing in white and splashing in red, was also pretty different here. Yeah, I mean, it was a self-explanatory deck for the most part. Like, just grind it out and survive until we play tons of bombs, but it was definitely different from a lot of the stuff we've been playing, which is pretty cool. So, different color pairs than we've usually been running. So we will absolutely take it. 2,200 gems and 6 packs are the prize out for today. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed this video and you're interested in seeing more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.